Welcome to the People's Matter program, and today we are privileged to have a guest who is Helen Kipkosgei from the Ilbra Counseling Center. She is one of the counselors there. And today we are going to talk about child abuse. What do you understand when we talk about child abuse? So welcome, Helen.
Thank you so much. As you've heard, I'm Helen Kipkosgei from Ilbra Counseling Center. And thank you, Diana, for giving me this opportunity to talk about child abuse in this program, People's Matter. Thank you so much. Child abuse is seen as any evil form of ill treatment given to a child. They could be physical, they could be emotional, they could be also psychological, and all this makes the child to be sad. A child is unique and is supposed to live and enjoy life freely. So we would like to look at these aspects. What do we mean by saying physical? When we say a child can be abused physically or given that ill treatment physically, we mean that this child is beaten, hit, or even cut. And this abuse can be from another child or an adult to the child. So during this time, we've had many people who have even abused their children. They have cut, they have burned, they've beaten with wires, and really it leaves a lot of psychological trauma to this child. We also need to look at the other aspects of abuse, which I said it could be, that was physical, emotional ill treatment. Emotional ill treatment is where the child is not given enough love, care, and it could be from the parents or from the guardian, whoever they are staying together. And during this time, the child also is abused. They use names which are diminishing the worth of the child. They yell at them. The person or the caregiver, who could be the parent, can yell at the child and use such dehumanizing words. So for this child, they will find themselves, they are useless. They may grow up knowing that my mama tells me that I'm useless, and so I'm useless. And they will never grow knowing anything good, and they may not even perform in life. So also in this category of abuse, you find that there is the neglect. Neglect is also another form of abuse. And this one comes in when we don't provide our children with basic needs. A child needs to have at least the basic needs, which we know is shelter, clothing, food, and so forth. But you find there are other caregivers. They could be the parents who don't care. They can even send their children out, go and look for food. Like in the community I come from, sometimes when there is a wedding, they say no cooking in that home that day. So go look for food. You can imagine that small child who cannot struggle to get food. So this is a form of abuse to this child. They grew up knowing that nobody cares, nobody loves us. And also, in this form of neglect, there is an aspect which is called supervision. The caregiver, the parent, fails to supervise what the child does. In the course of the day, they have no structure, they have nothing, they have no rules, they have no chores. So you find a child idling all over, and they fall into temptations of other things, even stealing, and getting into wrong company and falling to things like drugs. Yeah, thank you so much on that.
Because talking about that, whereby you don't supervise the whereabouts of your children, I've seen cases whereby children bring home maybe food, stolen clothes, and their mothers, their parents don't even ask them where they get them from. So I think that is one of the issues that is causing the immorality also in the society.
Some of these neglectful parents or caregivers come and congratulate their child. You did good. You brought us this thing, not really caring where they brought it from, of which it breeds that aspect of a child seeing that I take this
And no one asks
no
me.
one asks me, and it can even lead to this corruption that we see, which is running haywire in our country.
Yes.
So Diana, we need people to be responsible for their children. And I tell my viewers, it is good to be a responsible parent. Yeah, again, some parents abandon their children. Once they are not able to pay school fees, once they are not even able to pay medical expenses, they can just disappear. And it is not new. We've seen people who are left alone, children who are left alone in the home, even in the hospital, and they suffer. You ask them, they say they used to come, but nowadays they are not here for me. Yeah. So the other abuse that I can talk about right now is the abuse of misusing the child, exploitation. Most of the children are exploited because they are not able to talk on behalf of themselves. So a parent or a caregiver can just use them, e.g. in child labor. They go, they work, they bring in the money, and they don't get anything, they don't get any food, but the adult takes the money. And in this exploitation also, this is where some trafficking can come in. Other children are stolen, they are taken to be given out for labor, and whoever steals them are paid for that. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we can talk more on sexual abuse, because it has become rampant in our country, whereby you see many cases in the news whereby a child has been sexually abused. Maybe you can tell us more about that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing up that, Diana. I feel as a counselor, sexual abuse is the mother of all abuses. This is very common. This is very rampant in our communities. And sexual abuse can be said to be that contact of an adult having intercourse with a child. But without that, again, I can just add, in sexual abuse, we have rape. It falls in this category. That is, rape is where an adult abuses a child sexually by having intercourse without their consent because they are young. There is incest. This is sex between relatives. And then also sexual harassment in the place of work, in the matatus that we go through. You find children being mishandled by people in the transport sector sometimes, although not all of them. We don't want to generalize. There are others who are very good. But you find in this case, sexual harassment is wide and afar. Like if you get up a fat person touching the parts of a child and just picking and telling them things which are not so good. Yeah. So you, in most cases, parents, you may hear your child telling you, someone told me, in quotes, tufanye tabia mbaya. As a parent, you need to be so cautious. Get close to your child and try to find out more about this tabia mbaya, because kids may not know what to call it. They may not know what it is. They will just say tabia mbaya. And I want to believe as you get closer to the child, you will get to know this tabia mbaya. They will tell you it was so and so who did this, who told me, remove your clothes, lie in this bed, or touch them in their private parts. So again, there are other ways this sexual abuse can take place, which we call verbal. This is where people use sexual language to reach a young child. Wow, you've grown so big. You are just like a plump, juicy fruit that I want to just eat.
Yes.
You can imagine, in quotes, what does that mean? The child will imagine, okay, I'm a fruit, but why does uncle or why does this teacher want to eat me? Kumbe, it was...
it means something different.
Something different.
Which they cannot interpret at that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because of their age.
Yeah.
Another form of sexual abuse can also take the form of visual.
Yes.
Yeah. There are so many places showing pornographic movies. Remember, there are those parents who don't supervise their children. Yes. When children have free time and they have 5 shillings, they can access this pornographic material.
Yes.
So this is indecent exposure of suggestive photos or even pornographic material, and any activity like masturbation. can imagine this young mind, this growing adolescent being exposed and being fed on these kind of things.
Material.
What kind of a person will they grow up to be? That is where we need to ask ourselves, and even help in if we can tell the authorities to shut these what do we call them?
Video stations.
Video stations, which are there even into the village.
Yes.
Yeah. They are doing a lot of harm. They are not doing good.
Okay.
Then physical, sexual abuse is touching. Yeah, it can do with touches. Yeah, what kind of touches are good? What kind of touches are bad? This one also goes to us, the caregivers. We need to tell our younger children that if someone touches you on this part, it is not right.
And I have seen that even in social media, whereby someone posts a photo on Facebook, a father kissing the daughter.
Yeah.
And then this person says, how many likes for this photograph? Do you think surely that is what we should do to our kids?
No.
Even if you are the father, are you supposed to kiss your kid? It's not.
It's not. Even if you have to do it, okay, we cannot say you cannot hug your daughter, you can hug. But it depends. How long will you hold her there? Will you hold her and keep pecking her on the cheek or on the mouth? No.
Yeah,
it should just be, there is a limit.
Some even kiss directly to the mouth.
Yeah.
And that is so wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you sending as an adult? It means I want to imagine the romantic spousal kiss is the one which goes to the mouth. But for your daughter, it is just a peck, and you just hold them maybe and tell them, congratulate them, and sit with them aside. So this one needs to, the child should know at a very early stage that when someone touches me by my thighs, it is not right. Yeah, so teach them as mothers, teach them as caregivers on which areas should not be touched.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talking of child abuse,
Yes.
who is a child abuser? How do you know that this person abuses children, is prone is likely to abuse a child?
Really, for you to just pin on one person or a type of one person, it's not right.
Yes.
Because you find even pastors abuse, doctors, teachers, and you wonder what is happening.
Yes.
There is an underlying cause towards this person who is an abuser. And this could be, there could be someone who has been abused before and they've not dealt with their issues. So they are transferring or projecting this pain that they are carrying and hurting someone else. I think you've watched movies of serial killers.
Yes.
Yeah, in a serial killer, you find that person in the end, if they are arrested, they will say, someone did this to me. I talked to my mom and she was not listening. So I end up hurting all the women.
So it's like revenging.
Yeah, it's like revenging. Another also underlying cause to this person who is an abuser could be the inadequacy in them. They could feel they are worthless, their self-esteem is so low, and therefore it breeds insecurity in them. When they see small children, they feel that this is where they can find their satisfaction, and they transfer that insecurity to a lesser person who will not affect them in his who cannot answer them back. Yeah.
Who cannot stand for themselves.
Yeah. And apart from those, there are also issues like stresses. Which when one, especially for physical abuse, if one is in stress, you find they answer their child in anger, and this anger, they can even hit the child anywhere. And this one, we know, I feel a parent should know that if I'm angry, I will not address this now. They can just take a walk and then come back and sit with the child and talk about it. Another aspect also is the environmental stress. There are so many stresses, unemployment, so many things which make this person want to vent out their anger. And they can vent out to these young children. Yeah.
And maybe we can also blame the dysfunctional families,
Yes.
whereby you find the father and the mother are not in good terms. There are financial problems.
Also in the family, when there is no peace, there is no harmony, these parents don't even have time for their children. And so children try to find elsewhere where they can find comfort. And this abuser or a rapist will always want to show love to this child. They will give gifts, and the child will tend to trust and say, yeah, it looks like this person loves me more than even my parents. Hence they fall into these abuses.
Okay.
Maybe Diana, we can just talk a bit about where and when does abuse occur.
Okay, maybe after a short break, we are going to discuss more on which stage in child development is a child prone to child abuse. So after a short break, we are going to discuss more on this.
Yes.
Thank you.